The title of this coming together is a briefing on the issues of implementation of RCs, delivery of humanitarian aid, human rights situation, and communal violence. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has called for this press briefing in order to allow ministers and senior officials from the revitalized Transitional Government of National Unity to brief the South Sudanese public and the foreign friends who are interested in issues of the Republic of South Sudan about the status of the implementation of the revitalized agreement for the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. 1. On implementation of the RCs, as parties to the revitalized agreement on the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan continue to redouble effort to implement the agreement to its logical conclusion in December 2024, some of our friends, foreign friends, have continued to play the role of doubting Thomases by occasionally dampening our spirit through unhelpful actions such as renewal of sanctions and arms embargo and justified condemnation at the Human Rights Council, and just yesterday, March 29, through the renewal of what the United States government called notice on the continuation of the national emergency with respect to South Sudan. The national emergency, which was first declared in April 3rd, 2014, has now been renewed beyond April 2023, on the flawed assumption in that the situation in South Sudan is marked by activities that threaten the peace, security, or stability of South Sudan and the surrounding region, including widespread violence and atrocities, human rights abuse, recruitment and use of child soldiers, attack on peacekeepers, and obstruction of humanitarian operations. The government of the Republic of South Sudan deplores this statement, which is merely a regurgitation of the 2014 situation. Obviously, the formulators of such allegation did not care to inform themselves about the significant stride that South Sudan has made ever since the signing of RCs. For example, on the issue of recruitment and use of child soldiers, the Sudan People Defense Forces and the forces from SAWA and forces from the SPLA-IO signed an agreement in October 2021 with the United Nations that resulted in a document called Action Plan of the Government of the Republic of South Sudan regarding children associated with the armed conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. This agreement was renewed again in October 2022. As we write, the action plan has been 90% implemented, and the UN itself can attest to this. Despite this significant progress, the issue of recruitment of child soldiers is still being used to condemn South Sudan as if we are still in 2014. This shows that our friends, foreign friends in particular, do not want to inform themselves or do not wish to appreciate any progress made. Notwithstanding the criticism that we receive from time to time from our foreign friends, the government of South Sudan will continue to implement the RCs in spirit and letter. The government has amply demonstrated the necessary political will to implement the agreement in good faith. It will therefore not be distracted by any uninformed and misplaced critics. Secondly, the unfettered access to the needy. On the delivery of humanitarian aid to the distressed areas in South Sudan, the government has been doing what it can to facilitate delivery of aid to the needy. In this very hall, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, United Nations Mission in South Sudan, and United Nations agencies has been organizing a monthly forum which bring together humanitarian agencies, United Nations Mission in South Sudan, and government institutions, particularly the security organs. The forum, which has been held by the UN agencies and other NGOs, is held regularly to address any hurdles impeding the delivery of humanitarian assistance. The fact that we have created a forum to help provide unfettered access to areas in need of humanitarian assistance demonstrated that there is no government policy to obstruct humanitarian operation in the Republic of South Sudan. On the other hand, we do admit that there are non-state actors that are sometimes tempted to tamper with the delivery of aid along the road or rivers. But those instances are dealt with severely once brought to the attention of the government of the Republic of South Sudan. But to continue to accuse our government of obstructing humanitarian aid intended for its own citizen, our own citizen, is not only fair, but also disingenuous. Thirdly, on human rights situation in the Republic of South Sudan, the government acknowledged that there have been instances where some events had occurred that could be categorized as human rights violation. However, most, if not all, of such instances were triggered by non-state actors, particularly rebels. For example, the widely reported incidents of Mayom, Koch, Lair, and Mayandit in Unity State were triggered by the conflict within the rebel group. Nevertheless, when accusations of excessive use of force were reported, the government formed a committee to investigate those involved. With regard to Mayom and Lair, Mayandit, and Koch incidents, the finding of the committee, which was actually formed by His Excellency the President, have revealed, and we don't want to talk about it because the committee will be the one to tell us what they have found. And we don't want to subject their report before they make it public. That most of the violations were committed by members of the rebel group, and I believe here, rebels, by definition, are people who come and attack and go, and you cannot trace them. They can cross borders. Government can investigate our part, and particularly institutions of the government, whether it is state, the county, the Payam, or the divisions. They can be investigated. But rebels cannot be investigated. And before the committee could conclude its finding, the UK government slapped sanction on 3 individuals that they perceived to have been involved. And these were Commissioner of Mayandit and Commissioner of Koch, and our senior commander in Tumbra, and the SSPDF took an action in Tumbra, and that commander was removed in 2021. Yet it was reflected here, and the action that was done by the government was not even considered to be put on this particular kind of report, thereby jeopardizing the much needed cooperation from those being investigated. If you have subjected, without even consulting us as a government or institutions, for us to be able to cooperate, and you just announce sanction, it becomes very counterproductive, and it is hardening as a matter of the national responsibility. A case in point is when disturbances occurred in Tombora in 2021, as I stated earlier. The government moved quickly to investigate the incident, and when it was found that in fact it is not the county commissioner, but it is one of the army officer who was there, James Nandi, did not handle the situation well. He was relieved and removed to the headquarters. Fourthly, intercommunal violence. Intercommunal violence has been widely reported to criticize the government of South Sudan. However, what the critics do not care to report are the root causes of communal violence. Similarly, the critics do not care to report what the government has done or has been doing to curb violence. Communal violence is largely attributable to a number of factors that include natural factors such as flooding and competition over postage, availability of firearms among civilians, and inaccessibility of some areas due to lack of passable roads are also among other factors. Despite those challenges, the government was able to make intervention when and where possible. For example, when friction heightened late last year between herdsmen from Jonglei State and indigenous farmers in both Central Equatoria and Eastern Equatoria, the President of the Republic of South Sudan issued stern orders to escort the herdsmen back to their areas of origin. The SSPDF was ordered to execute the order. Accordingly, herdsmen were escorted back by a unit of SSPDF. Today, Equatoria region is free from herdsmen from Jonglei, and situation is very calm and tranquil. So even if there are very few pockets where there are still cattle camps, the SSPDF is on mission. Similar efforts were made by the government to address communal violence and criminality in Lake State. Today, Lake State is very stable and free from any form of violence. Yet, local and foreign critics of the government of South Sudan are too blind to see this progress. Another intervention made by the government was in Upper Nile following the split between rebels of Kitgwang group. As we all know, differences among the rebel faction led to one group attacking the civilian population that they perceive to be the home base for the other. Following reports of destruction and displacement, the government made a decisive intervention. And I think everybody is very aware of what our government did last year in October and in November in the areas of Kingdom of Shuluk and beyond, and also in the areas of Greater Pibor and Jonglei State. Finally, as a strategic option to arrest communal violence, the government is investing heavily on road infrastructure. Recently, our president, the President of the Republic of South Sudan, inaugurated 2 mega road projects, one to Greater Bahr el Ghazal, and I believe you have seen it, you have witnessed it, and it was widely publicized, that road. And the Juba resident, even foreigners, can travel from here to Terkaka. It will take them 40 minutes in a state of 4 hours before. And so, and another to Greater Upper Nile. The first phase of the road to Greater Upper Nile has been completed from Juba to Bo Town. Bo Town used to take 6 to 8 hours. Now you can go with 2 hours. And His Excellency the President have launched this particular phase in our own planning as a government to address both the issue of service delivery and the issue of security in the country. It was the second phase from Bor to Malakal that was launched this year by the President. And believe me, today, if you are to go to Bor, you can go beyond As you drive to a youth and you drive to Akoba, you'll be able to get, the bush has been cleared and the maram is being put. These are our priorities as the government, for us to be able to address issues of insecurity and delivery of services to our people across this country. His Excellency the President also have launched the other route that is in Bahr al-Ghazal, and will continue also with this program from Eastern Equatoria, Nadapal, and to Pibor, to Bor. Another route will move to Western Equatoria. This is a policy of the government. The government is doing this to give services to its population, not to appease anybody. This is our priority as a government, and the services are going, and we are now decongesting Juba so that population go out and go to their own areas. The roads infrastructure project have the potential to improve security and service delivery to the people. The government long arm will be felt everywhere across this country. There will be no longer be safe haven or cattle rustlers, child abductors, or bandits obstructing delivery of humanitarian aid to the needy. I want to reiterate that the government of South Sudan is doing this for the interest of our population, not to please anybody outside. But it is our commitment as a government to take services to our people, protect our civilians, prevent the issue of abduction, stop the issue of cattle rustling, and all manners. It is our own responsibility. And so our government is very clear on these particular areas. Now, because this is the essence of why we have invited you, but we have issues related to roadmap, we have other issues of government priorities. Our Minister of Information, who is the spokesperson of the government, our country, will come and address you. And after him, we have the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management will come also and address you. And thereafter, if you have questions, please don't hide them, tell us. This is your opportunity to ask your question. Honorable Minister, welcome to address the media.